figures, you know, I'm about to start talking about Malaki and he's got to take off after a squirrel and stop listening to me. You know, it's just thick trees right here, so initially I didn't know what he was running after, so that's why I had to go after him, and then he wasn't listening, so, you know, the clock's counting and all that, so might as well just reset it. But what I was getting at was right when, so Malaki's running loose. You know, he's running around while I'm starting to weed eat along this canal line. And about 45 minutes had passed. He'd been a good dog the entire time, but at some point, I got focused on my work and I just stopped keeping track of him. And then I had headphones on, earplugs in to drown out the sound of the weed eater. But at some point I started hearing dogs barking in the distance. Just that dogs wouldn't stop barking. And I didn't know, it was like the neighbors. I didn't even know where the dogs were coming from. I could just hear dogs barking. And all of a sudden I started getting this bad feeling, like my intuition was telling me it has something to do with Malaki. So I shut off the engine and I take my earplugs out and I'm listening. And so ahead of me, you know, a few hundred yards, I could hear dogs barking, you know. And then I'm looking around, I don't see Malaki. Where the fuck do you go? And all of a sudden I'm thinking, oh, maybe he ran all the way to their neighbor's house and their dogs are barking because maybe he's there. So I start yelling really loud for Malaki. And then in the distance, maybe 75 yards, maybe less, 50. All of a sudden I see him come out of this tall grass and he's like flailing around, like, I don't know, he's just kind of like flailing around, acting unnatural. And I'm just looking at him, and he's kind of heading towards me. I'm like, what the hell is going on with him? I mean, immediately I was like concerned. I knew there's something happened to him. But as he's getting closer, I can see there's like something sticking out of his mouth, like his whole muzzle, like there's something on his mouth. I'm like, what is that? And as he's getting closer, I'm like, oh shit, he got hit by a porcupine. So Malaki found a porcupine while I was working, and apparently he attacked it, like full on attacked the thing. And Malaki probably had 100 quills in his face. Like on the outside of his face, he had quills in between his teeth, embedded in his gums, under his tongue, like like if you think about under your tongue and that's really soft area, he had quills in the roof of his mouth. Oh my god! In the backs by his molars, underneath in his in his throat, like through his fur, like under his chin. And he was in complete trauma. As he was running up to me, he was just flailing, like freaking out. And I promise it was probably about 100 quills, and I'm freaking out because this place that I'm at. If I'm going to take him to the vet, it's probably going to take me at least 30 to 40 minutes before I can get there. And not only, it's going to take me 10 minutes to walk back to my vehicle and then communicate with the people who own there and then have to drive to the vet somewhere. It would probably take 30 to 40 minutes. And I was like, Malaki doesn't have time for that. This needs to be resolved now. So him and I had one of our first bonding moments where I had a toolkit with me and I had needle nose pliers. And here we are on somebody's property. The owners aren't anywhere to be seen. They're either in their house or working somewhere else, but I can't see them. So Malaki and I just had our moment. I had him laid down and I got my needle nose pliers and he did not want me touching him, and I had to force him down and him and I stare him in the eyes and tell him like, dude, I have to help you right now, and this is gonna hurt, but you cannot be fighting me. You have to relax, and you cannot fight me while I'm doing this, no matter how it hurts. And every time he tried, so then I started using my needle nose pliers, and I started pulling out each quill. I mean, you have to pull those things. I don't know if you've ever done it before, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you've never had to pull out porcupine quills from an animal, those things go deep and they have barbs on the quills themselves, which makes makes them hard to get out. So you have to give them a big, hard jerk. So every time you rip one of those out, those barbs, they're one-way barbs, so they're going the opposite direction, so it hurts that dog when you pull it out. So every time I did that, had to pull one out, he would flinch or start freaking out, and he'd want to fight me. And every single time, I'd have to calm him down and tell him, "You can't fight me. If you want these out of your face, I have to do this right now. If you don't want these in your face for the next 2 hours, and before you get sedated and you're free and clear at the vet, have the vet do it, have strangers do it that you probably won't like. We gotta do this now." So, for about 45 minutes, this went on. Malaki and I had a very intimate bonding moment during all of this. He was completely in trauma, and I pulled out as many quills as I could by myself. And he fought a lot, but he allowed me to do it. He didn't bite me once. That's one thing. He didn't bite me. He was just fighting, squirming because it was so uncomfortable. But when it came to getting the quills pulled out of in between his teeth and inside of his mouth, he did not want me to do it, and he was fighting me to such an extent that I needed another pair of hands. I had to have somebody help me and hold him down. So I probably got about 75% of them out of his face and outer part of his mouth. But he still had a whole bunch inside of his mouth. And so I ended up making him follow me back to the owner's house. He just walked next to me. Walk of shame for him. But I found the owner of the house, told him what happened. Long story short, the owner helped me. I'm pretty sure I don't remember, I think I was the one that pulled the quills out, and the owner held him down. But it probably took another half hour of getting the remaining quills out of him. Probably, I don't know, altogether it's probably an hour and a half maybe of dealing with that. So that was an hour and a half that I just wasn't working, that I wasn't getting paid. And so after we got the quills out, Malaki had calmed down. He's starting to act like his normal self again. As much as I wanted to leave right then and there, I felt bad because I hadn't even done 25% of the job that I'd been hired to do. And so I offered to go back out there and work a little bit longer if they wanted me to. The owner said it was fine. For whatever reason, I brought Malaki with me back out there. Maybe it was me just being stupid for doing that, not really thinking it through, against my better judgment. But I said I was trying to work with Malaki. He has to learn his own lessons, and I can't baby him and keep him on leash when little mistakes or things like that happen, because that's how he learns. And I figure after a long enough period of time, if he hurts himself or whatever when he's out goofing off, not paying attention, then eventually he'll learn his lessons. He'll know not to run off, if that's what it comes down to. Which, it's ultimately it's worked. He's right there. But I took him back out with me, and I just kept him off leash. I thought he would be a good boy after that whole thing. So I started working again. He was laying down when I started, and I was like, "You stay right there. You don't move. You don't run off." Tell him that. So when I started working, eventually I turned my back on him. But apparently Malaki wanted revenge on that porcupine. He was not done with that porcupine, and he wanted to go back and let it know that was not very nice of that porcupine to fucking do that to him, give him a mouthful of quills. Malaki went and found that porcupine within within 15 minutes of getting back out. I hadn't even been working very long. But I'm working, and Malaki had gone out there to that same, wherever it was. He went back to that spot. I didn't see him, but all of a sudden I heard Malaki scream. He fucked with that porcupine again, and I heard him scream. He didn't bite it, but he went and found it, and it was like he swatted the thing with his paw. Because when Malaki screamed, next thing I know, Malaki's coming back and he's like limping, and his whole paw is full of porcupine pills, like porcupine quills. Like he literally found the thing and he was just like, "You asshole!" Like he's swatting this thing, like he's just pissed off at the porcupine. Like, you dick, you fucking. And then it got him again in the paw, and it went through all of his pads. He probably had about 25 quills in his paw. Oh my God! Some of them went deep. Some of them were like that deep and through his paws. And he fought me more getting the quills out of his paws than he did having me pull the quills out of his face. I imagine dog paws are really sensitive, and that was a bad experience for him that day. He got hit twice with a porcupine. At that point, I was like laughing. I mean, I felt really bad, but I was laughing. I was just like you're a dummy, dude. I bet if I get these out, you go do it again. How many times does it gonna take before you learn your lesson? Don't fuck with a porcupine. I never saw the porcupine. It was hiding in the tall grass along the canal. But after that happened, I just went, after I got the quills out of him, enough time had passed that I figured I'm just wasting the owner's time. And I just went back, walked all the way back, told the owner I'd probably not going to be able to get the job done because Malaki's got this going on and I need to go take care of him now. I need to go figure out if I got to get any kind of ointment or anything for, if he has, if you got, I don't know if you're supposed to put anything on that type of injury, once you get them out. But so I didn't finish the job. I don't even think I charged the people anything for my time. I feel like I wasted their time. Maybe they might have paid me for an hour. I don't remember. I might have not got paid anything. I might just let them have it. But the good news about that whole incident, I didn't take him to the vet afterwards. For whatever reason, Malaki was acting fine after the quills were out. He just act like his normal self. And he never got any type of infections or anything. Nothing bad resulted in, like, later further down the road. Nothing bad resulted in that injury. Those injuries that he had from the porcupine. So it was just a very traumatic experience for him. And we had a bonding moment. That was not the bonding moment that I've referred to in a previous episode. That wouldn't come until later. But, at that point forward, he knew I would take care of him if it comes down to an injury. The entire process of pulling those quills out, I was trying to be nice to him, talk calmly to him, but at the same time asserting myself, telling him he has to, you have to relax and surrender and let me do what I need to do to fix you and help you. Otherwise, you're going to be stuck with these things. Yeah. But, I'm back in Central Oregon now. The porcupine incident happened with Malaki. And then, I think it was sometime middle to late August, that's when the total solar eclipse happened in Central Oregon. As everybody that had flocked to Oregon watched the event, standing outside watching the whole totality, watching the sky turn black, watching daylight turn to night and then night turn to daylight in just a quick time span. I stayed inside the house the entire time. I had done research on different things, and as far as spiritually and some type of energy, I don't know if it was true or not, but I had read that the solar eclipse, a total solar eclipse, is not necessarily a good sign. It's like has a sign of significance of some type of dark times coming or something. I don't really know. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it isn't. It's just I had read something about the solar eclipse. I can't even remember what it all was. But it was just something about bad energy to watch and witness it. Like allowing some type of dark spirit to come into you by staring at it. I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I had learned. And so I stayed inside and avoided the solar eclipse. Didn't watch, like my dad didn't watch, or my dad and my mom, they were outside and they were just sitting in their lawn chairs on the driveway watching it. And I told him I wasn't going to. My dad just calling me a weirdo. You're so weird. Because I told him why. I'm not gonna watch it. I don't care. Also because I think it's funny to fuck with him. Go against the flow. Anytime I get the opportunity, just go against the flow, just to irritate him because of who he is. And so I missed the whole solar eclipse, but from that point forward, it seemed like time started getting strange because, what's that, August, September? Because about 6 months later, that's when I'd go to Las Vegas and have some pretty wild experiences. I had been going through a lot of things in my life up until that point. Had had a lot of experiences, which were more variables I was accounting for my reasons behind not watching the solar eclipse. I was picking up on, it was entirely a spiritual decision, just in case this thing that's going on in the sky is releasing some type of bad energy on anybody who's staring at it. Maybe not. But after the solar eclipse, I think within a couple weeks, that's when I began my next season hanging Christmas lights. Where did my phone? Check see how much time I got left. 3 minutes. Yeah. I had it in my pocket. I had 3 minutes left, so it's a good thing I checked. So going into my second season hanging Christmas lights, this is when things really started. I started picking up on things that seemed out of place. I don't really believe in coincidences. I think whenever an event occurs that you might call a coincidence, I think there's more to it than that. And when I started working the second season, I was a crew lead. The owner had two Christmas light installation crews, work crews, and I was one of the crew leads. So I had the owner had multiple vehicles, and I was given one of his vehicles with a pole trailer that was full of supplies. So I was in charge of the vehicle and the supplies, and making sure my crew was operating efficiently. Everybody's showing up on time. We're getting to our jobs. We're completing the jobs. We're not leaving anything behind. Making sure all of that flows efficiently, and try to make as little mistakes as possible so we don't have to backtrack and fix things and waste our time or lose time. But that season, it almost felt like the people that the owner had hired to be part of my crew, it wasn't the same crew as the previous season. I started picking up on this feeling as if the people working with me that had been hired by him were there to keep tabs on me. Even though my work crew is like they were trying to influence me in different ways, like they knew who I was. I can't even explain it, but it was almost like they were planted there as on my work crew for various reasons, not just to do their jobs, as far as installing lights, but some secret reasons that was not going to be told to me. Like, it was a secret from me as to how they ended up part of my crew. Sorry, I'm hearing a loud vehicle. I'm just kind of listening to it. Nothing really weird happened that second season as far as installing lights. I was just picking up on this feeling. I can't even describe it really. There's just a feeling that some things were not as they appeared, if I were to summarize it as anything. for example, early in the season, when the owner was bringing on a few new people to our crew, he had this guy start working for me. So I have 3 people on my crew, right? And he has this third guy that starts. He's brand new. And he's just acting really nervous the entire day. Every time I'm around him, he's just acting really jittery and nervous. Just he has really nervous energy. I just pick up on it. And as a product of his nervous energy, when whether it was me trying to teach him, how to do different types of the job, or the other person on my crew trying to teach him, it was like he was so nervous that he was not able to focus on what we were showing him, on how to do something correctly. So he wasn't listening to the details because he was probably being self-conscious of other things, not fully listening to the instructions and watching how it's done. And so everything we showed him, he wasn't doing it correctly. Like, we're getting paid by people pretty decent money, so whatever job we're doing, it has to be done correctly. It can't look like an amateur did it, because if it looks like an amateur hung up the Christmas lights, well, why'd they pay us to do it? They could have done it themselves, and it would have looked just as like somebody that doesn't do it professionally. So this guy was not meeting our expectations as far as quality, and we're just trying to correct him. We're teaching, we're not criticizing, we're just trying to enlighten you. This is the standard that we have to follow. Otherwise, if we leave and it looks this way that you have it, we'll probably get a phone call at some point by the owner, because the owner got a phone call by the customer complaining about the quality and they want it fixed. It's like we have to do it right, correct now. Otherwise, we're just going to have to backtrack, and that's when we're losing time and money. And so when I'm telling him all this stuff, I'm not trying to sound like I'm criticizing him, but he was like taking it personal. And so at some point, as we're continuing through the day, he's getting more and more frustrated. And because he's being frustrated, he's making more mistakes. And because he's making more mistakes, I'm correcting him, like, no, that's not how it goes. You got to do it this way. And so at some point, he's thinking I'm attacking him, I'm criticizing, and so it's because he's taking everything personal. So he's getting, as the day's going, he's getting more and more worked up, and I can just read this energy. And we go to this house. I think it was like our second or third job. And it was like a 2-story house, and their garage was like a single story, but it had a really tall garage doors and a really tall roof, so it's pretty high off the ground. I believe this was the first house we had this new guy climbing on the roof with us, and I'm nervous to even watch him get up the ladder and get on the roof, let alone have him on the edge of the roof without harnesses or anything, installing lights, because we're just right on the edge of the roof, crouched down on the slope, and we're just clipping on lights, working our way down. And we weren't using harnesses or anything, so pretty much if you fall, you're gonna die. If you slip under any conditions and you fall, you'll probably break your neck or break your back, break your ribs, land on your head and die, or just be very severely injured. That's kind of what our job entailed, which is why it paid pretty well. Well, there's only certain jobs that we actually used harnesses and rappelling gear and all that, ropes and all that. But we go up on this house, the new guy comes with us, and he's such a nervous wreck, and he's not doing anything right as far as the job. He's totally slowing everything down. He's just like I don't know if he's scared of heights, or if he was nervous of me, or if he's entirely in his head. I think he was just in his head, but long story short, right when we got up there, we were on the second floor of this house, and then so there's the second floor roof, and then you have the second floor windows, like a bedroom window or something, so it kind of sticks out. And then there's like another drop off. There's like a drop off, and then you have the first floor roof that keeps going out. The new guy, he slipped and he fell. He fell off the first tier of the top roof, and because there was a bedroom underneath, because there's a bedroom, but he fell down a layer and he landed on like the peak or something, like on his belly, but he landed on the first floor, of the roof. He didn't break it. He didn't hurt himself, and he didn't damage anything of the property. But I watched him fall off. From my perspective, I watched him fall, and at the time I didn't know there was another tier right below. And I thought he fell all the way to the ground. I was like, oh shit, did he just fall and die? Right in front of me. But that happened like on his first or second day. And from that point forward, I did not want him on my crew, and I communicated to the owner. I was like, I don't want this guy on my crew. I don't know why you hired him. I don't like his energy. He's gonna slow us down and all this stuff. He ended up getting hired anyway. Like, the owner kept him, and he kept him on my crew for a period of time. And I did everything in my power to try and teach him how to do everything correctly. And I tried to have a good attitude around him, but his energy and my energy did not get along for whatever reason. I did not like his nervous, jittery energy. It was like he was being nervous for reasons that were not necessarily have anything to do with Christmas lights, but maybe he knows things about me. And like I said, I felt like the people that were hired on my crew, as if it wasn't just random people being hired and we're all working together. It might have been intentionally. But it was like this guy, he was just really nervous being around me for whatever reason. And after I had him on my crew for a couple of weeks, he was just slowing us down so much, where compared to the previous year, I wasn't making as much money. Like, I'm only doing this job to do things effectively and get as many jobs done as I can in a single day, every single day, so I can make pretty good commission. But having somebody on my team that is slowing me down to where I'm losing money on account of his mistakes, to where we would do jobs where whatever task I had given him, not only would it take him a very long time to get his task done, like I would have all of my stuff done and I would be done before he's even 50% done. And then when I would go check his work, it's loaded with mistakes, and all the lights he'd hung looked terrible. And I would have to go back and fix them. And then because I fixed them, he would take it personal and get upset about it. Not just respecting the fact that we have a standard to meet, and he wasn't meeting them. So I'm just whatever he did, I would just raise that. Whatever corrections I have to do, I'm just raising it to the standard, just fixing things that need to be fixed. And he was taking it personal. Oh, how dare you touch the areas? How dare you touch or adjust any of the things that I've just worked on? Well, you didn't do a good enough job. At some point, I got in a pretty stern conversation, a pretty deep conversation with the owner about me not wanting that guy on my crew anymore. I just told him my reasons why, and that guy got put on his the owner. I said before, the owner's stepson and his stepson's best friend. They were working on their own crew. And so that new guy, he ended up getting moved over to their crew. So it was just me and one other guy on mine. And we did pretty good, just me and one other guy. Like, the other guy was pretty good. I liked him. But that new guy, once he got put on the other team, at some point they were having issues with him too. And then at some point that guy quit because he couldn't hang. He wasn't doing a good enough job, and I don't know, we just didn't want him around. I think the consensus was like, we don't really want you here. And he ended up quitting. I'm trying to think. So, not really anything eventful happened during the installation part, from September through New Year's. Nothing really big happened. But around January, the owner, his wife, his stepson, and their daughter, they ended up going on vacation to New Zealand. Or might not have, yeah. Yeah, all of them did. I'm pretty sure all of them did. But they went on vacation in New Zealand for an entire month. I think for the entire month of February. After New Year's, the owner, after New Year's, the owner asked me if I would house sit, you know, watch over his house and his dog, take care of their two dogs while they went to New Zealand for a month. It had something to do with business. Like when it wasn't Christmas light season, the owner he had another business too, installing solar tubes in people's roofs, which is like cutting a hole in somebody's roof and you put in some type of reflective dome on the roof, and then the light comes through that dome, that lighted dome, and then the light travels down a pipe, and then you can get natural lighting inside your house. It's simply by just cutting holes in your roof and putting types of lighting. I don't even really want to describe how it works, but that's what he did during the spring, summer, and autumn time. In the winter time, they did Christmas lights. But supposedly they were going to New Zealand to do a solar tube installation demonstration for people that were starting to do that same type of thing in New Zealand. At least that's the story I was told. Whether or not it's true, I don't know. But somehow, for some reason, in February of 2018, their whole family went. They went to New Zealand for a month, and the owner asked me to house sit for him for the entire month of February. And I agreed to it. I looked at it as an opportunity to get away from my parents, because the owner of the Christmas light company, he lived in Madras, in a different town, not Redmond. He lived in Madras, so I looked at it. Oh, sweet! I'll go stay at that guy's house for a month and be completely away from my father. Any opportunity I can get to get away from my father, I'm going to take it. So I agreed to watch over his house for a month, take care of his dogs, and they had chickens and ducks. So feed their other animals too. I feel like I need a drink of water. I got 4 minutes left. Just trying to think how I want to conclude this. So right before I started house sitting, around February, through the month of January, we took down lights. After New Year's, that's when all the lights we put up, we have to take them back down. So through the month of January, that's pretty much what I did. Malaki was with me the whole, I'd take him with me to work. He'd just stay in the vehicle all day long. But yeah, I was not. It's just a really strange time. Because the video's about over, and we're about to really start talking about some serious stuff, and I'm trying to think about how I want to transition into that. So I feel like I'm just going to stop the video right now, and then whatever I've recorded up until this point, all of this is going to be one video, and then the next video that you watch is I'm going to be talking about how my reasons for going to Las Vegas, and my reasons, how I found DMT, my reasons behind doing DMT. This is what we're about to go into. That's kind of why have slowed down, and why I'm saying a lot. I'm trying to think about how I'm going to do this transition, but this is pretty much the end of the video, so I'll probably have this next segment uploaded the following day. I'm going to keep recording right now, but I got to stop. I'm going to take a break, get some water. The lighting's going to be different by the time you see this again. But the next time I speak, that's what we're getting into, is Las Vegas, DMT, magic mushrooms, the people I met, and everything that happened in between all of that. So yeah, this is when things are going to start getting fucking crazy. So just be prepared. Until then, have a nice day, evening, wherever you're at. Nice night. Be safe. And if you're enjoying what I'm sharing so far, all it takes is for you to spread the word to your friends and family. I'm going to say, hey, you need to check out this guy that I've found on YouTube. His name's Brandon. He's got a pretty cool story. If you think it's a cool story, it just depends on how you feel about it all. But if you feel like my story is interesting, just spread the word. I would really appreciate it. And remember, don't be tricked by any of the YouTube numbers. If you're watching a video and it only shows like that, if it only shows on your screen that there's only been 20 people that have viewed it, it's not true. It's just an illusion. Don't get fooled by don't ever have the feeling that there's not many people paying attention. There's a lot, and nothing is as it appears. So with that said, see you next time. Alrighty, it's been about 20 minutes since my last cut. You know, this is a new video since the last video, but it's only been about 20 minutes. It's only been about a 20-minute break since I stopped recording. I needed to get some water and use the bathroom. There is looks like the beginning of a storm front coming in. The whole sky's becoming cloudy. It looks like, believe there's supposed to be a thunderstorm. Thunder and lightning and potentially rain and hail sometime this afternoon. It's about 11:45 right now, and 11:45 a.m. So the weather will probably start changing here quickly, I imagine. So I'm just going to record as long as I can. It might even start raining. That might end up being the reason why I stop filming. And then we'll see whether or not I do more later, or if I end up having to wait until tomorrow to continue. But where we're at now, from my shoes, I'm getting excited because it has taken me almost 2 years to share as much as I have so far to get us to where we're at now. I have been so looking forward to sharing everything that not only that everything that has happened since I went to Las Vegas and after, but also to share the things I've learned and the lessons I've learned and the traps that I have discovered along the way since then. You know, this is 2018. March 2018 is when I went to Las Vegas, and this video that we're on right now, I'm gonna be talking about what happened in February, the month before, which is when everything starts getting very bizarre, like very bizarre for me, to where I don't even know what the fuck's even going on, which will explain why this step happened in March, why everything happened the way it did, and why I made the choices that I did, and my intent behind all of it, if that makes sense. For you, it's very, very important for you to really evaluate where you're at mentally, like right now, and how much of my story you're aware of, and also considering what you perceive this world to be and what it's not. Just to have a self-evaluation, like right now, like what is your perception of reality? And I'm saying this because once I start getting into what happened in Las Vegas, depending on your level of awareness, there's a good chance that my story might alter your perception of reality, and it might mess with your head. And again, I'm going to do everything in my power to explain these experiences the best that I can, so that you're not left in a state of confusion or depression or anything close to that, to where you're not, once the video stops, that you're not left in a state where you just don't even know what to think anymore. My goal is to help not only introduce certain ideas and topics to you that you might not have never heard of before, but also to explain it to you so that it can make sense for you, so that you can use it to your benefit. a way to empower you with knowledge. That's the goal ultimately. But in order to get there, for you to attain this knowledge, so that you can have these tools and strength and courage, all these this broad range of positive emotions. In order to get there, we have to look at the bad aspects of my experiences. There's a lot of good that comes from the bad, in the sense of the things that I went through. They may have been traumatizing, but I learned a lot through it all, which I'm using to now share with you guys. So if you ever find yourself in any type of situation that I've been in, to whatever capacity that even means, that you'll be somewhat prepared. You'll know what you're dealing with. You might not know exactly what you're dealing with, but you'll at least be aware enough to navigate whatever is in front of you. If it's a trap, if it's an opportunity, if it's something that you should run away from, or if it's something you should pursue, the things that I share with you should give you the foresight to make the correct choices when these things happen. That's my goal, ultimately. But you also got to understand this now that we've reached this part of the big story. I'm going to be taking my time with it, and it's going to take a long time before I'm finished. Hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. I mean, from this point, if I were to guess, it would not surprise me if I end up recording 20 hours worth of footage. 20 hours worth of speaking in front of my camera over a period of the next few days and weeks, month, however long it takes. It doesn't really matter to me. For however much time it takes me to get this whole thing told and shared with you, it's going to require a tremendous amount of your time to sit down and listen. And it's entirely your choice if that's what you want to do. I'm encouraging you to do it. I would recommend putting in the time to do it because of everything you'll learn and attain along the way. Which is why at some point, if you're not there already, anybody who's watched my videos so far and you ever feel like I'm talking slow, or I'm repeating myself, or I'm not talking about certain things you want me to talk about, you want me to just kind of talk faster and get there, at some point you'll put all that to the side. You'll put your expectations to the side, and you won't have an expectation as far as how long it's going to take me to tell the story. You'll just be looking forward to the next episode, because you'll understand each episode is going to be full of useful or valuable information. And at some point you'll realize that this whole time that I have been taking my time, you'll realize that you'll appreciate me for taking my time. You know, maybe up until this point you've just been impatient, hoping for things to just kind of go faster, to start moving in a speed that you might perceive things should be moving. But for my shoes, it's going to be impossible for you to understand later things until you attain certain levels of knowledge and information before we get there. I can't just tell you everything at the end without telling you this stuff, because A, you might not even believe me, and B, even if you might believe me, you're going to want to know how I even attained this knowledge to begin with. And if I don't provide that backstory, you're just going to make your own assumptions. You're just going to assume things that might not necessarily be true. It's starting to rain now, so I got to cut this. So I guess this could just be an introduction. But yeah, this is what we're going to be getting into, so just be prepared. That's all I can do, is just emphasize that it's going to get really fucking deep, and it's going to get really, really intense once we do make it to Las Vegas. But even before Las Vegas, it starts getting weird. But here we go. I gotta stop before it rains on the camera. Pretty bird. Alright, then we're gonna get Overwatch. You know, I keep saying we got Overwatch right here. This is my air support. There you go, guys. Good job. Yep, that's my air support. They are doing air reconnaissance. They keep me safe. Here comes Overwatch again. Here it comes. Go ahead, Overwatch, come my way. We can use this, I can upload it and scare the shit out of the bad guys. Don't worry. Good job, good job. Here it comes first. He's passed over me quite a bit today. Woo! There he is. Good job, you guys, good job. Alright. I got you guys, don't worry, I got you. Good job. Just get a few more shots of this bird and I'm gonna keep going. Alright, we got another bird just sitting on a rock. Zoom in, man. I'm just recording from my driver's side window. We got a birdie following the air currents. I don't have a tripod, so I'm gonna do my best. Animal down there. Don't know what it is, but it's an animal. Oh, those are people. Oh, that's funny. You know, then again though, you know, let's start over. So I'm sitting here and I see these black spots far away, right? And I'm like, man, that kind of looks like or it looks like an animal or something, right? Kind of looks like an animal. It's really pretty right now, but there's a point to why I'm recording at this moment. So I'm sitting there, I see something in black. I'm like, I gotta get my camera and let's fucking zoom in and see what it is. Dude, it's two people. So, you know, whether or not they can see with a camera from this far, the point is, why are there two people sitting there while that looks so pretty on my screen. Might as well just fucking... You know if those are good guys? I just pointed a camera at them. No offense. I just spotted you. But if those are bad guys sitting right there, I see you. Got pretty good eyes. Why are there people sitting down there? Lucky. Tell me. Really pretty. So it looks like behind me. Lucky, you're silly, dude. What are you doing? What are you doing, Lucky? You're so handsome. You're so handsome. Yes, you are. Mr. Handsome.